Okay, I would like to talk about the Manchester United versus Tottenham game on Wednesday. So let's go through the starting lineups for both teams here. I was a little surprised by Ashley Young playing. I thought Shaw definitely earned his place. He played what 4 or 5 games in a row before the FA Cup game. He looked pretty solid. No surprises with the rest really. We got Antonio Valencia on the right. Chris Smalling and Phil Jones. I mean, I would personally rather see Rojo and Jones. I thought last season that was probably our best center back pairing. But yeah, anyways, De Gea, obviously, best keeper in the league. Valencia on the right, Smalling, Jones, and then Young. I thought Young had a poor game right off the beginning. I mean, along with a bunch of others. But anyway, let's move into the midfield. We got Matic and Pogba kind of sitting in that 2. And then we got Sanchez on the left, Lingard as the number 10, and Martial on the right, which I didn't personally like that. I'd rather see Martial stay on the left. He's been more than dominant on the left this year, arguably our best player on the left. So I know that's where Sanchez has played a lot, but he seems capable of kind of sliding in anywhere, honestly. So I'd rather see him either as a number 10 or out wide right. I know Lingard's played well as the cam for a while, but usually against lower opposition sides. I know at Watford he had a good game. Some of the cup games. He does score in big matches, I'll give him that. The FA Cup final last year or two with Van Gaal. But I think we're going to eventually need to either get somebody else or rotate him out with another true number 10. He could play on the right as well. So, and then Lukaku up top. Lukaku's been under the spotlight a lot in a bad way. And I think this is, in a lot of ways, and I do it too, a lot of my friends that I talk about this with will definitely agree that I give him a lot of shit. But he's not getting the service. And his style of player, he's not a hold the ball up guy. He's not a play with the back to goal. We kind of knew that when we bought him. If we play that long ball from the back, I mean, that's a fair reason why Ibra was so good for us last year, is he can hold the ball up. He's going to be more physically dominant in the air and win all those balls. But Lukaku, as big as he is, he's just not that guy. But I mean, down the channel, or if you whip in balls across, like, he's gonna finish. He's a clinical finisher, but he's getting 1 or 2 chances a game. Let's go back to like the beginning of the game here, though, against Tottenham. So off the kickoff, you're never gonna expect the game to start the way that it did there. 12 seconds, whatever it was. That's just a little bit of luck on Tottenham and some poor positioning by 2 people, I would say, and then a poor header. Smalling got dragged across. Young was nowhere to be found. I thought that was maybe Matic's header to win. I mean, Jones should have definitely done better, but it's a little bit of luck. Good finish by Eriksson, but terrible way to start a game. Can't be doing that. And then from that very beginning, I mean, we just heads down, a little bit shell-shocked. And then we kind of responded quick. There's a span of about 5-7 minutes there where I thought we were going to equalize, like, right off the bat. We looked good coming forward, had some nice chances. Granted, kind of a half chance here and there, nothing like really that strong. But I thought we looked lively anyways. And then about the 15-20 minute mark, we just started to get sloppy. The passing the whole night was atrocious. Like, I've never seen so many guys miss so many easy passes. It looked like my Sunday league. It was awful. But I thought Matic had a very poor game. I thought Smalling, he's never been a great passer out of the back, but I've definitely seen him play better than that. Jones, we'll get to the own goal in a second, but outside of the own goal, I mean, he wasn't terrible. I thought he was the better of the two center backs, even though he kind of sealed our fate there, but that's unlucky. Ashley Young had a very poor defensive game. He stays a little high up the pitch, but he doesn't track. Like Trippier had so much space down the right in that second goal. Granted, it was his own goal, but Ashley Young was nowhere near closing that cross down. It's too easy. You can't allow someone to whip an across on the ground like that across your own 6-yard box. That's just poor defending. I know Luke Shaw is a popular figure with the fans, but sometimes not so much with Mourinho. And I've heard people say that he's very strong defensively, and I would argue that he's probably better going forward than he is actually a natural defender. I don't think he's a true natural defender, in neither is Ashley Young, but I think Shaw would definitely track the runner maybe better than Ashley Young. I've noticed Ashley Young, he positions himself very strangely. Like when he clearly wants someone to go on the outside, I mean, he's baiting them and showing them that side of the field, which I get, but I don't know, there's something about the way he sets his feet or something. It just looks awkward. It's not right. And he's a good threat going forward. Obviously, we know he's a more natural winger who has, to his credit, played very well as wherever he's asked to be played. So normally I don't mind seeing him play anywhere on the field this season, but not a good game for him. I thought Valencia, I mean, he was okay. He had a couple tackles on, I think it was Kane. I can't remember if it was Kane. It might have been Dele Alli, but anyways, that was questionable. Very, very risky tackle, but I guess he won enough of the ball. So, let's see, in midfield, I don't like playing a 2 holding. I mean, you buy Paul Pogba for a reason. You see what he does at Juventus is 4-3-3. I think he needs to be at the more advanced stage of a 3-man midfield. I think it's almost a waste of play when you make him sit. He can defend well, but again, that's not what he's naturally good at. He's more of that good, quick link-up player. And he is very big, so I can see why Mourinho kind of likes him, having 2 very big defensive mids sitting in there. But that's just not where he's best at. So you got to allow him to go forward. And then whether that means you want to put somebody else in there with Matic, like maybe Herrera. I thought Herrera has been great for us, and then he's really suffered by the signing of Matic, I think. And granted, when he's come in, he hasn't looked like the same player that he was in the last couple seasons, so which is a little bad to see, but maybe he'll come around. I would much rather see a 4-3-3 or even a different formation completely with like a 3 at the back or like a 5 at the back. Maybe play like a Chelsea 3-4-3 type thing, but I definitely don't like to see the 4-2-3-1. It's causes us to be a little stagnant. We move the ball way too slow. We saw the same kind of thing even before Mourinho was there. I know when Van Gaal was here, man, my God, it was painful to watch games because you could just tell within the first 15, 20 minutes that, okay, we're not going to score a goal today. And you just knew. Just because it's just slow, side to side, lots of passes backwards, which, I mean, I'm a fan of if you do it in the right way. If you do that in a way where you can kind of slow the game down and then speed it back up, but there's never any injection of pace or urgency with the ball. It's kind of predictable, and Pochettino did his homework, and all you got to do is press him high up the pitch, and then they played a fairly high line, which Tottenham normally does, but we moved the ball too slow and we got closed down too fast. It was very predictable. The center backs played the ball out to the left or the right back, and then they're closed down so fast they have no outlet. So they're either forced to play it back to De Gea or just kick it long, and we have nobody up there that's going to win that ball. And granted, that's not the ball Lukaku wants. So like his, I know he gets a lot of shit for his first touch as well, but if you play him a better ball, he can win a ball. But if you're getting closed down and you just kind of whack at it, send it 40 yards, and it's just kind of floating up there, I mean, you're not really giving him a fair chance. And he's usually, being the lone striker, he's got at least 2 defenders right on his back, and so it's a tough ask. I mean, there's certain strikers that can do that are much better with their back to goal, but it's a tough thing to do, and I think you would rather have service somewhere else. So, yeah, but it's very predictable. Then Matic, one, not just his like giving the ball away. He doesn't usually do that as much, but he does usually play the ball sideways or backwards. There's not a long range of passing. Definitely with the absence of Carrick, we've missed that long range passing. So I wish he was a few years younger, to be honest. And then Fellaini's not that guy either. He can't play. He's not going to play many through balls or like really smart passes. He's kind of more clumsy dude like Matic is. Herrera, at times I've seen him play the ball quickly. I definitely think we need to buy another midfielder in the summer now. So we'll see how that goes. I heard somebody say the other day that Matic is not the guy that will win you a title, but he's a guy that will, if your team's already built, he can slide in and play well, which I can see that. But yeah, maybe the dude from Lazio, Milinkovic-Savic or whatever, I think he could be good. I got to watch more film of him. I haven't honestly seen him play much, but I know he's rated very high, and he's another big dude, big lad like Mourinho likes, so he could fit in well. That would be 3 center mids over 6'3". That would be pretty formidable, I would say. But Pogba was slow, a little off tonight. I think everybody just got their heads down. I mean, I'm not going to try to defend him a whole lot because it was pretty poor, but I've definitely have played that kind of game as well. And anyone that plays, you're going to just have those nights where it's not going your way. Even if you get down early, like whether that happens or not, sometimes you have days where just nothing's going to happen. And that was, whether it was just one of those times where completely psychological based on those conceding early 2 goals, especially within the first 15 seconds. That's a terrible psychological thing to happen right at the beginning. So, let's see. We didn't get very many chances. That's the other thing. I mean, I know there's a lot of comparison between Harry Kane and Lukaku. I think Harry Kane is obviously winning that battle. His stats have proven that. But he gets chances, and he gets a lot of chances. I think he had maybe, I'm trying to find the stat, but I would say close to 6 or 7 shots over the whole game. And he would normally finish a pair of those. So you got to give Lukaku more than 1 chance a game, or 1 chance a half even. So like Martial, I didn't like him on the right. I think it's a little unfair for him to be sacrificed from the left just because Sanchez is there. The left midfield wasn't our problem. That was probably our biggest strength, actually, was on the left wing. So I don't get why you buy a guy who has been noted to play everywhere across the attacking front and then move your best player to the other side of the field where he's not comfortable. Yes, he's right-footed, but he's effective because he likes to cut in on his right foot. And that's another reason why maybe Ashley Young and Martial don't work so well on the same side, is because Ashley Young's also right-footed, and he's going to cut the ball inside every single time almost. I rarely see him go to the byline and cross with his left foot, where Shaw can cut inside on his right or go down the line and cross on his left. So if Martial is going to cut inside, that leaves room for Shaw and Ashley Young, but usually I'd like to see Shaw on that channel cutting in on his, or going down the line on his left. So I don't know. I think Ashley Young's, I'll come back to him. But yeah, I don't like Martial on the right. If you're gonna really put Alexis on the left, then I mean, honestly, maybe put Mata on the right or even Rashford. Rashford's played more on the right than Martial has, and could be more comfortable out there. I think Rashford's form right now is not super great. We'll get to the Fellaini substitution in a little bit, but I know that Rashford was planning on coming on, and then they had to sub the sub. But anyways, put Alexis as the number 10. Put Lingard or Mata on the right, or Rashford, whoever. But you can't put Alexis on the left where Martial plays. I think he's earned that spot. I would honestly like to see rotation between Rashford and Lukaku. I don't see why Lukaku is deemed as untouchable. I mean, he scored recently, but it was one of those games where I think he tends to do this quite a bit, where he scores, but he scores when the game's already won. Like it might be like 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, and then Lukaku will pop in a goal that doesn't matter. It's a confidence boost goal that seals the game up, but I don't see him scoring against top 4 sides super often, and I haven't seen him do that much in his entire career. A lot of his goals when he was at Everton were against mid to lower table teams. Now, I'm not saying he's not capable of scoring against higher opposition, but that's just what the stats say. And I would like to see Rashford. I mean, Rashford is dangerous for the pace. I think he makes intelligent runs. Lukaku, I think he's just one of those guys, almost like Yaya Toure, where he just looks lazy. The way he runs, he just looks like he's not working hard. I mean, you could maybe pull up a stat that says otherwise. Like I know I've seen some Yaya Toure kilometers run where it's like there's no way that's what he ran, because it's just the way that he jogs or runs. It just looks languid or whatever. But I don't think he works as hard as he could, especially when it comes to pressing. I think he could press much higher and be more of a bullying presence, like honestly similar to how Harry Kane was today. I mean, he was all over Phil Jones tonight. So I want to see Lukaku really, really push other defenders and put pressure on the ball. And that might not be him. Maybe that's Mourinho. Maybe not really wanting to play a high press, but I think that's something against certain teams that, I mean, we should honestly try. It seems like we have like one guy really pressing high. I think tonight, or that was Sanchez. You see him really, really hustling to get there, which is kind of his thing. Is he's always going to be a hard worker, always going to be working to get the ball back. Okay, so he's got that old Barcelona mindset still, where if you don't have the ball, you're going to work super hard to get it back. There used to be that. I don't know if it was Pep or whoever, but Johan Cruyff or whoever before, but you have the 4 or 5 second drill. If you lose the ball, you have to get it back between that small amount of time. I think that's great. I do that when I tell my kids that I coach, press high, win the ball back, but do it smartly and do it as a team. They don't really press much as a team, I've noticed. Like they'll have a couple of guys jogging back. Martial is a little lazy sometimes, I'm not going to lie. I like him a lot, but defensively, same way why Mkhitaryan, he was a bit lazy defensively as well. That's probably why he's not there anymore, partially. But the teams that press high, Liverpool's a good example, but they're also Liverpool, so they're gonna be shitty defensively. But they do press high very well. Spurs can do it. City does it very well. But I don't like the 2-man midfield. I think that's one of the bigger problems. I think we should honestly sacrifice the number 10 and just play a 3. I think it would be much more effective. The times that we have done that in the past, it's worked out very well, and then I can't understand why the coach would go away from it if it just worked so well. It seems to give us much more freedom. I think midfield is where the game can be won and lost. I mean, this game, there wasn't a whole lot going on. It wasn't an end-to-end game. It wasn't like played in one person's box the whole time. It was their midfield outworked our midfield, and that was basically it. Like they worked harder. Their passing wasn't off. And granted, we had some terrible pass. I don't know how many times. I could at least think about 4 or 5, maybe more, of where just like not on the same page, and the ball just like rolls out for a throw. And I'm like, that's not how a team of that quality should be working. So kind of a frustrating night. You could see it in Sanchez's face in the first 30 seconds. He's like, "Oh God, what did I get myself into here? It's a lot of so this is going to be more of the same. Am I just bad luck?" But I think he'll come good. I'm not worried about Sanchez. He is a world-class player. It definitely looked like he was not comfortable with the people around him yet, which is clear. Some guys can hop right in and just look great. And he did look good against Town, but that's League Two opposition. Spurs is much higher quality, obviously. But yeah, they just were not on the same page yet. I was almost a little surprised that he got the start, in a way, even though I know a lot of the fans would have wanted it. But it was apparent that he's not used to the kind of runs that other people are going to be making on this team yet. And whether that was part of that just general offness that we were having, it would just take time. It's a tough game to come into as your first league game, but some people adapt well. I can't wait for Eric Bailly to be healthy. My God. Chris Smalling needs to maybe reevaluate some things he's been doing. Not super great. I'd be happy with Bailly Jones or really Bailly Rojo. I'd be fine with as well. Lindelof is an interesting one because he does some not great things defensively, but he is very good at passing the ball. I've noticed his distribution on the back is much better than all the other center backs, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons why he was bought. And I think when Bailly's fit, he is that kind of way, like how Vidic used to play, just super aggressive. He's gonna win the ball. So you have one of those type guys, and then Lindelof's like not super aggressive, but he is a much better distributor. So if you're gonna play out of the back like that, it is nice to have someone that can pass well. Kind of like what John Stones will probably become, or even like how Mascherano has been at Barca for a little bit, or PK. Just guys that just distribute well and can move with some urgency and get some pace going. Because our front four is on paper is amazing. Now, granted, whether they get the service they need or on that night is a different story. But I think we have close to 300 million plus, 350 million plus pounds on the front end, and so they need to perform. We need to give them some chances. I'm not convinced on Lindelof. We'll have to see. He needs more games, but I wouldn't have played him in a game like that at Spurs. Granted, it probably wouldn't have mattered. He would have probably had a better game than Smalling or Jones, but I can see why Smalling and Jones got the start. So we'll see about Lindelof. But the Fellaini thing is crazy to me, and this guy might get the most shit of any United player in the last decade because, he has his detrimental side, but he has done a lot of really good things for the club, and so I kind of like to stick with him. But I really don't get the substitution. This was not the game for him to come into. It's not one of the ones where we're resorting to the long ball. It was definitely a game where the ball is being played on the ground with lots of pace, and he's a big dude. He's clumsy. He's not very fast. We just didn't need him. And to take Pogba off, which I get, Pogba was not having a good game at all. But Pogba is miles better than Marouane Fellaini is. And Matic is having such a poor game. I would have been okay with taking off Matic for Fellaini, even though sometimes he scares me if he's the deepest of the midfielders because he's clumsy and he'll foul people in dumb areas. Like we've seen at maybe Everton. Remember that? But anyways, that side makes no sense, especially if they knew he wasn't 100% fit. And it's clear if the guy has to come off in 7 minutes, from the same injury that has been bothering him all season, that tells me that they knew he wasn't 100% and he shouldn't be playing. I don't even know why he's on the bench. If he's not going to last that long, if he felt it in the warm-up, he should have told somebody. I know he wants to be fit for the World Cup and get as many minutes as he can, but that's no help at all. You made Rashford sit down because you had to come off in 7 minutes. I mean, it could be totally different, whether he felt totally fine before and he just kind of tweaked it. I watched the game knowing that he had come off. I watched it late, and I actually saw him limping and kind of favoring that knee like almost immediately. But I wouldn't have noticed that if I didn't know that he had already gotten hurt and came off. But watching it, knowing that it already happened, I could see it. And he tried to fight through it, so I'll give him that maybe a little bit. But I just don't. Even if he was healthy, I would still rather have either Rashford coming on or Herrera. Herrera's be a much better fit for that type of game. He's quicker. He'll close people down, and he can be creative as well. But yeah, I like Fellaini, but Jose probably got that one a little bit wrong. And you could see his frustration in his face. When he knew he had to take Fellaini off, he was pretty pissed. I mean, just seeing the little shots of him on the sideline, he was not a happy camper. There was the announcers talking about maybe he was going to give an Alex Ferguson type hairdryer halftime talk, which is interesting because I don't really know what kind of manager he is. You always get his kind of weird, quirky press conferences, but I think he's the kind of guy where he's probably a completely different character outside of the media. I mean, hopefully, because he's a little bit of a strange, enigmatic character in the press. But I think as a manager, he's probably fierce when needed to be. But I think most of the players probably really like him. But I think tactically he maybe got some stuff wrong tonight, and he can work from that. So, not a great night. Not a whole lot to really be hopeful for, but I don't think we'll play that bad again. Maybe this season, anyways. Hopefully we won't. That was pretty piss poor. I thought Sanchez worked hard. Martial and Lukaku had a chance or two. Lloris had good saves. We just need to basically learn from the bad things, but forget a lot about that game going forward. It was not pretty, so let's move on. I hope the next game that we play, I hope that he decides to do Sanchez on the right and just keep Martial on the left, and whether he plays Mata. I think Mata can play number 10 too. That's another thing I don't really get is like, I think we kind of bought him for a number 10 spot, and then he's always played on the right. But when he's on the right, he kind of plays like a number 10 anyways. He always comes inside, and then we have really nobody for pace on the right. So I really like Juan Mata. I know he just signed a contract extension, and I'm glad because he's a good player. And I think he might be the kind of player that Sanchez can link up with very well because they both move the ball with pace, really quick passing movement off the ball. But he's never really been much of a right winger for me. I think Lingard's had success at number 10, but I think Lingard would probably be better outside and Mata would be better inside. So, and we have options. You just have to find out which pairing is going to be the best in that front three. I mean, Lukaku's going to stay up front, even though Sanchez can play up there as well. But I think Rashford and Martial are going to have to battle it out on the left still, at least till the end of the season. And then he's got to figure out who's the best pairing between Lingard, Mata, and Sanchez. Whether who's playing as the number 10, who's playing out right. And what I do like about that, even though I said I don't like the 4-2-3-1, but what I do like about that 3 is that they do interchange a lot, and you see a lot of movement where nobody's really stuck to that side. I mean, they are defensively they are, but when they're going forward, they have a lot of freedom to interchange in between, and you'll see them kind of drift in and out, which can be good to see, and I think it could be a threat going forward. But leave Martial on the left, figure out who's the best cam, and figure out who's better outright, and then maybe move into just a straight up 4-3-3 or I mean the 4-2-3-1 for me it seems to be it can work well when you're defending it's 4-2-3-1, but when you're attacking it becomes a 4-1-4-1. And so if you do that correctly, it can work out because you'll have Pogba being the guy that will shift from the 2 to the 4. He'll move out of the 4-2 and it will become a 4-1 with Matic being the lone holder, and then Pogba can get forward. So if that's the way that we're playing it, that's okay. I can see that working more so than him being told sit in the hole and cover space. Because that's not where Pogba's going to be the best. So whether it's 4-1-4-1 or 4-3-3, I think those would be more effective. But hey, I'm not the coach. I don't get paid what Jose gets paid. So we'll see what he does. We have Huddersfield Town on Saturday the 3rd. And this will be an interesting one because I think they beat us on the earlier fixture. So we will be looking for some revenge, especially coming off a really shit game like we just had. They better light a fire under something because we need to respond and respond well after a game like that. So on two fronts, we just got to come back and play better after a loss, and we got to avenge the loss from Huddersfield earlier. Now their form has dropped a lot. They were on fire in the beginning of the season. I think they were one of the few undefeated teams after like the first 5 or 6 games, which is an incredible start for them. That's probably why they're so far up on the table, and I know they're kind of drifting down. They haven't had the greatest form in recent games, but they're a team that can be dangerous. I like their coach. It's Klopp's old number 2, David Wagner. I think he is a smart guy. He's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. Makes the best out of having little resources in the squad that he has. So they could be dangerous, not to be taken lightly. One player I really like from them is Aaron Moy. He's a good midfielder. And I got the American Danny Williams, who I think is injured right now, but it's good to see him out there as well. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about the fixtures upcoming outside of Man United. We got Huddersfield versus Man United, and then let me just go to the overall fixtures because I'm stuck on United right now. 1 second. I know we got Huddersfield. So we got Burnley and Man City, and it is at Turf Moor. So Burnley is always a tough place to go. Turf Moor is a tough place to go. So who knows? Maybe they can at least get a draw out of Man City, but it's unlikely. Man City is rolling on to the first place title. So, and we have Bournemouth and Stoke. That will be a good one. Bournemouth, I didn't see the Chelsea game, but they just beat Chelsea 3-0 yesterday. So, and then Stoke's interesting. They should be in a better spot than they are right now. They have a much better side than the position that they're currently sitting. And with Mark Hughes gone, we'll see. So that could be an interesting game. Brighton and West Ham. Brighton could be in some trouble. I don't know. We'll see if they can stay up. But David Moyes seems to be doing an okay job with West Ham, which is, I don't really know how I feel about it. I used to really like the guy, and now I'm on the fence. But I think it's good for him if he can turn them around a little bit. He says some questionable things in the media, but I did really used to like the guy. But anyways, that could be a good game. I think West Ham will walk away with that one. I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham. Leicester Swansea. Interesting. Swansea just has come off some recent games, some good form, beating some top 4 opposition there. I think they beat Spurs one week and they beat Liverpool the next. I can't remember who they just played, but Leicester's been looking better. Claude Puel, after he left Southampton, seemed to be doing very well with Leicester. They kind of turned around. I didn't get to see the Everton Leicester game. I saw the highlights with Walcott scoring, but I think Leicester should win that game against Swansea. But Swansea's been in good form, so who knows? Maybe they can snag a point there. West Brom and Southampton. That's another one. Southampton is another one of those teams, kind of like Stoke, where it's a little surprising that they're in the position that they are. And then West Brom. I'm sorry, not West Ham. West Brom versus Southampton. I don't know what I said. Yeah, but West Bromwich versus Southampton. West Brom is another one where you know what they're gonna be like. Because they were with Pulis for so long, they're gonna park the bus a little bit. But they're a big team. They're good on set pieces. They defend well. So we'll see how they go with the new manager there. That game could go either way. Southampton hasn't been great this season. And then we have Arsenal-Everton, which would be a good one. I think that could be a good one. So you got all these new signings at Arsenal. I wonder if they'll get to start. Of Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan. Then you have ex-Arsenal players like Walcott at Everton now. So that could be a good one. I'm going to say for the West Brom Southampton game, I'll go a 1-1 draw. And for Arsenal-Everton, I'm going to give Arsenal the upper hand on this one. I'm going to say 3-1. Everton with Big Sam has not looked super good. I know they played well recently, but this is a strange one. That's another team. Everton has good players, and they were so poor under Coleman, who you would think would be a good manager, but I like the signings that they had. And then since Sam's been there, I mean they had like a great couple first games with Allardyce, and then they kind of dropped off. So we'll see. I think they'll be safe. They're not gonna go down, but they're not as strong as they were with a seemingly stronger side, which is odd. And then the Sunday games, we have Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Newcastle's not great. Rafa has some work to do, and they didn't get much funding from Mike Ashley. So I think Palace will walk away with that. I got to look at the new signings. I should do a pod about that. There's a lot of new players going around. I know Palace just signed another striker, I believe. Give Benteke some competition. So I think Palace could win that. I'll say 2-1 Palace. And then we got another big one. Spurs has had a rough schedule recently, so it's going to be Liverpool-Spurs. It's the 11:30 game. I don't know what to expect after just watching that United-Spurs game, but I think this one, two teams that press high, it could be end-to-end. That's what I'm expecting. Liverpool, they both play high lines, especially Spurs. They both press high. I think Spurs are the better team, but both of these teams are just, they can, any day they could beat any team and like crush them. And then the next day they'll go and lose against like a really low table team. So a little bit unpredictable, but attacking wise, Liverpool is incredible. Defensively, they have some lapses. Even with the big money signing like Van Dijk, they still have some things to work out defensively. And Spurs over the last 3 or 4 seasons have been the best, at least top 3 defenses with as far as goals conceded. But then they'll do weird things as well, like that loss to Swansea, and then they come back and be United. That's kind of typical Spurs, typical Liverpool, but that's going to be a good game. I'm excited to see that one. And then there's one Monday game on the 5th. We have Watford-Chelsea. And who knows about that? Watford's a good team. So I like the Richarlison, the Brazilian. I think he's a solid player. I wonder if he'll stay in the summer. I could see him going to a bigger club. And then Chelsea, they're another unpredictable team. Well, they're still up there in the top 4, but have had some really strange results. Again, I didn't watch the Bournemouth game, but I don't think Conte is going to stay through the summer if they keep having these strange lapses in form. Even depends on where they finish and how they do in the Champions League. And I know they just got knocked out at the FA Cup, or it might have been the League Cup. I know they lost to Arsenal, but I forgot which cup it was. But questionable stuff, and they're obviously a very strong team. They just signed Giroud. I wonder if he'll get some minutes. Batshuayi, or Michy Batshuayi, he just went to Dortmund. Kind of part of that trade that kind of worked out for Arsenal's benefit and for theirs. So Mishi goes to Dortmund. Aubameyang comes to Arsenal, and then Giroud comes to Chelsea. So that's one of those big uh, transfer deals of January window for sure. So I'll have to do some research on all the transfers, and I'll get back on that. So that's the last game of that week or that game week. So and we have some stuff on the 10th, but I'll talk about that later. So some pretty good ones. Most notably, Liverpool Spurs would probably be, and Arsenal Everton could be good. But those would be the two bigger games of this weekend coming up. And that's all I had to say. So, yeah.